Welcome to Texas Auto Channel. Let's get it.
Oh boy, look what I got. I got K-Series parts, boy. You know what that means. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Texas Auto Channel. If you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. So today I got the Hassport mount and bracket in that we've been waiting for to get the K24 swapped into the EM2. So I went ahead and installed them onto the transmission and to the back of the engine. But now we're basically ready to get it swapped in. We got AJ, which you've seen at the beginning, and Mexican Jesse, Jeremy, he's here helping. We're gonna get this K24 swapped in. We just have it mounted to the bracket over here and to the bracket over here. And then we're gonna basically guide it in very carefully into the engine bay. We did go ahead and remove the bracket that I put in a previous video. We'll put that motor mount bracket in after that's installed in. That way we don't hit it on the way down. We got the rear Hassport mount. This one's kind of moved up. We're going to put some stuff on the side to protect the engine bay so we don't scratch it up too bad. We've got the Accord linkages in, which I have video clip of putting those in right here, and basically just ran them just like the factory. We did have to drill 2 extra holes for the sides to mount that bracket for the shifter in, but it was super easy. We went ahead and did that, and we got the linkages in. So now we're just going to go ahead and put this on the tripod and we'll get this thing installed. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Okay, so we got it in. It took 10 minutes to get in. It helps when you have 3 people, so huge shout out to Jeremy, aka Mexican Jesse, and my brother, of course, giving you some behind the scenes pictures while we were doing it. So definitely check out his Instagram. There's the link on screen. It'll also be in the description. But this one was having a little difficulties adjusting the bracket, but nothing too major. And then that bracket back there, which you probably can't see because it's really dark back there, it just slid right on when we were dropping it in. It's pretty simple on that one. This one over here, we had to adjust and shake the engine a little bit to get them to line up, but otherwise it lined up pretty well and it fits in there like a glove. It's really nice. We're gonna try to put the radiator in, see exactly how much clearance we have with the fan, everything hooked up, and then try to get the linkages hooked up, which are down there, and see how everything goes. So now keep in mind these are the Accord shift linkages and shifter in the car, and it worked perfectly. I'll go in and show you how it shifts. Everything's good. So basically what we're going to do right now is this right here is a connector that goes on the radiator for the coolant temperature. This will be ran all the way to this fuse box on the underside. There's not a lot of diagrams I could find, but I did find the wire we need to tap into. It's this green wire right here. We'll cut and splice, solder that wire onto it, and then the other wire on that 2-prong connector will just be grounded to the frame, and then that's it. So this is what the connector looks like on the underside of the fuse box for the fans. We got the fuel line ran. We basically just ran a fuel hose all the way back to this right here, which is the fuel that goes into the engine. Basically got everything else connected for the most part. This part right here, which is your factory brake booster vacuum, we're gonna cut this a little bit shorter and then just connect it right there, and we're good on the brake booster. As for the coolant hose on the back, we're basically going to take the factory one for the D17. We're gonna run it out of the firewall and over to these ports back here, and then we'll be running a shorter one from there over. So it's pretty simple with the D17 stuff, but I'm gonna go ahead and splice into this, so that way we have the wiring for the coolant fans to turn on. So okay, so now that we've got the connector ran, we'll want to test this to make sure the fans turn on. There's an easy way to do this. I got my brother inside. He has the key turned forward in the start position. Even without the computer or any of that hooked up, since it's directly wired to the fuse box, it should turn on the fan. Now, I have made this little loop right here. That's basically a jumper wire. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down. We're going to jump this connector on the inside, and that fan should turn on. So we'll go ahead and try that. There it is. Fan turns on when jumped, so it works. So this is also a trick I use to make the fans on all the time. Okay, so the wiring part was the hardest part of the swap, but I'm going to simplify it for you guys so you guys don't get discouraged. Just get the RSX harness for the K20, get the K20 C101 connector adapter harness. It's pretty much plug and play. There will be a couple wires like the white wire that you have to put in the ECU plug E, and it's literally just an open spot. You just slide it in and you're done. And then you have to wire the black wire to a constant power. The yellow wire will go to a switched positive, and then that's pretty much it. The rest is pretty much plug and play if you have the RSX harness. Now if you're trying to use the Accord harness, I don't recommend it. It does not have a C101 connector and the wiring diagrams are not there. I've looked everywhere. So we had to ditch the Honda Accord harness. We went and got a Honda Element harness because we were told it would work. Now we did end up finding a Honda Element pinout thanks to Brian at Vtec Academy. So huge shout out to him. Definitely check the links in the description and go give them some love because we were lost without it. But we ended up ditching the Element harness anyways and going with the RSX. We took both of those other harnesses and sent them back and got our money back. So we only spent $40 on the RSX engine harness at the local junkyard. So really cheap. You can't really find them everywhere that cheap. $200 is worth it though. Trust me, we went through 3 harnesses to find this good one. And it's just pretty much plug and play with a couple little things. They will come with instructions in the K-tuned and the C101 connector, and they're super self-explanatory and really easy to figure out. So I highly recommend that. I didn't record it because this is uncharted territory and I didn't want to give you guys wrong information. Because sometimes I do that. I apologize if I have ever given you wrong information. I'm just still kind of learning with you guys. But that was probably the hardest aspect, but don't discourage. It's not as bad as it actually sounds. We ended up running a PPA CRV ECU, which is compatible with the K-Tune. It's just stock right now, and it seems to be working pretty good. Okay, before we put the other CV axle in the other side, I wanted to show you this real quick. This here is the Accord Element CRV CV axle half shaft or intermediate shaft. This one is too long. You have to use an EP3 or an RSX intermediate shaft in order to keep your 4-lug. So you'd use the CV axle and intermediate shaft. So I just wanted to point that out. The Accord Element and CRV one does not fit. Also, the automatic RSX ones do not fit either. While yes, they are the right size, but the automatic sits out a little farther, so this bracket's a little different and it kind of binds up and you just can't use it, or I would have done that. But huge shout out to Snowbuilt for letting me get this off his EP3 for like 50 bucks. So I got that for like $50. And now we can put the other CV axle in that side and start putting some fluid in it and get it running. Alright, so here's the difference in the manifolds. This is the K24 A8 factory Accord manifold and downpipe, and it sits like this. And this one here is the K20 from the EP3 or the RSX. They're basically the same. This clears the subframe with no issues. This one here, if we take this off, then it'll clear the subframe. And you'll have to get a custom pipe made that clears it. Most likely chop it right here, and then it'll have to be done at an exhaust shop or something, or maybe you could do it yourself. I don't have a pipe bender, so I can't do it, and my welds are boogers, so I'm not even gonna try. But on this one, it's pretty much just bolts it all up, put the heat shield on it, and then I can take it to the exhaust shop. They can connect this to the catback part, and then we're good to go. We'll have full exhaust. But these pipes are a little bit smaller than the K24 pipes for obvious reasons. It's from a K20, a 2.0. It's from the K24 2.4. So just keep that in mind. If you want to use this one, it will require some cutting and modifying of the lower downpipe. But I'm going to go ahead and put this on, get the heat shield on, and then we'll go from there. What I did for the clutch line was pretty simple. I basically just chopped the factory D17 clutch line, used a double flare tool and flared it, and connected it basically like you would as if it were a stock K24 A8 clutch line. Pretty simple. Alright, it's all together. We have everything connected. We've got power, ran to the fuse box, and to the battery relocation in the trunk. We've got the fuel line and coolant hoses ran. Shift linkages are on. CV axles are in. The RSX midshaft, whatever you want to call it, is installed. And of course the Hassport pretty mounts. And we've got the fuel, one of the return line from the D17 capped off and zip tied just to be sure, so we don't want no fuel coming out of there. And we've got the fuel line ran, just a normal Gates hose like I showed you, and fresh fluids in it. The cooling fans on there. The coolant temperature sensors hooked up and tested. It works. Another very important thing to do and make a note of is add ground wires. Make sure. We've got a ground wire going to the shock tower, just mounted to a bracket. Then we've got a ground wire over here, and then there's a ground wire on the back of the block. Just make sure to have grounds because it will not run without grounds. But everything's ready. We've got fluid in the transmission, fresh oil in the engine. We've primed the fuel pump. No fuel has been spraying anywhere. We'll probably prime it a couple more times before we try to fire it. And everything should be good. So we've got everything ready. So AJ's gonna hop in and then we're gonna try to start it. Okay, so AJ's primed it up a couple times, so now we're gonna give her a try. Wow, it sounds really smooth and healthy. Give her a little slight rev. Well, there you have it. Runs really good, really smooth. It's kind of loud right now because it's just open downpipe, but we're going to take care of that. We're going to go to the local exhaust shop. We're going to have them weld this cat up. This part bolts right to the catback exhaust for the EM2, so everything should be good after that. Then we can hook up the O2 sensor to the downpipe. The connectors already ran from that wiring kit that I put a link in the description about. It already has the O2 sensor wiring for that, so it's all good there. Linkages go through the gears really well. So we were going to go out and do a pool video, but we want to make sure to have the intake. We want to get the cat on and all that stuff before we do it, so it's going to be a minute, but we got it in and it's running, and I'm super happy about that. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be and a lot cheaper. So we'll have a video coming out on how much it costs for everything. And where I got the parts and all of that good stuff, but I will put as much as I can in the description of this video where you can buy the stuff that I used on this to keep it pretty budget. But I'm really happy with it. Can't wait to go do some pools. Can't wait to get some video footage, and then yeah, it'll be real fun. But yeah, AJ's over here with his Integra getting the plasti dip off. We just use WD-40, spray it, let it soak in, helps it peel off a little easier. But the only way to plasti dip, don't do the spray can plasti dip. I mean, I prefer the spray gun if you're gonna do it, and do like 4 or 5 coats because you want it to peel easy, and this is not peeling very easy. So I feel his pain. I've had to do it before. We're gonna have more content coming soon, so definitely subscribe if you're new here. Definitely hit the like button, and I gotta give a shout out to my brother AJ. He's been doing videos and pictures and posting on Instagram. There's a link on screen. The link will be in the description as well. Take you right over. Go follow him on Instagram, and go follow Texas Honda channel, of course. But huge shout out to him and Mexican Jesse for helping get the K-swap in. Really appreciate you both. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. Got a mess to clean up, so I'll see you guys in the next video. And as I like to say, God bless, stay safe, stay awesome.
Hey.
Call JG Whitworth, 877 cash. No! Ow! Pop myself. Ow!